Hello there, beautiful human. My name is RidersDX. Welcome to my channel. Today, I was just polishing my copy of Rehydrated for the 24th time today. I was running out of ways to pay tribute to the undeniable key to happiness, but then I thought hiring myself as a professional crown polisher would be the perfect way to give this game the respect that it deserves. But do you know what else could be done to pay respect to this game? Not letting it become Banjo-Tooie. Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated will go down in my eyes as one of the most exciting moments of video gaming for me. I'll forever cherish all the laughter, tears, and audible phrases that I uttered in relation to this game, and I'm so grateful for everything it's brought. If you follow me on Twitter or Discord, or just kind of follow me at all in general, then you know that I am absolute wreck right now. I can't even talk in specific words. But time moves forward, and the cards are in THQ Nordic's court in terms of what could happen next for the absorbent kitchen cleaner. Well, the cards that matter anyway. I've thought about this, as I'm sure most have. We've been seeing lots of franchises get the remake treatment, but have seen little to nothing of what comes after a remake. Crash Forward's About Time is one of the only instances so far of a brand new title rising as a result of a remake success. So what can we expect for SpongeBob in the video game world now that Rehydrated has come and made its mark? Well, if the producer of Rehydrated has anything to say about it, it looks like the team is really excited at the thought of making another game with a SpongeBob license.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas floating around what could be cool in a sequel. We talk a lot about these, the big close-ups, the painted close-ups with the weird details and the snot and stuff like this, so the little disgusting old school Nickelodeon stuff. So it really depends who you are, but that's the thing. It speaks to the breadth of the series, that everybody who's watched it and who loves it has a different, or maybe slightly different thing. This would be the most awesome thing, like the leaf blower from the first season, or being able to float around with your pants inflated like in the other episode. So all these kind of things, I think there's a lot of things. And obviously while we did the remake, you always also just talk about wouldn't it be great if we could do this and this and this. So I think by now there's a long list of things that the devs would love to do in a full sequel, and we'll just see what the future brings.
So the question begs, what's coming after Rehydrated? Obviously, I don't have a definitive answer to that, and we probably won't have one until next year at the earliest. However, as the owner of an overactive imagination, I've come up with multiple avenues as to where I think SpongeBob or Nickelodeon could go next with THQ Nordic. So let's say the Flying Dutchman were to grant me 3 wishes. First, I would ask for 5 wishes because I'm a smarty pants. And then I would make all 5 of my ideas for what I'd love to see THQ Nordic do next with the Nickelodeon licenses come true. But since the world has yet to bless me with the Dutchman's curse, here's my list of 5 things I would love to see with SpongeBob video games in ranked form. Adding to the drama. At number 5, I'm going to essentially contradict a video I have made previously on this topic, but I decided that I would love to see the movie game get the Rehydrated treatment, but also for it to go beyond what we got for BFBB. This being an obvious next step, there's definitely a lot of people that would love to see a movie game remake. Definitely SpongeBob Squarepants the movie. Movie game remake all day. The SpongeBob Squarepants movie, Regoobered. I like. If you want to check out my thoughts on the movie game remake previously, I'll link it in the top right corner. But essentially, I didn't think it was a great idea because of the problems that are inherent with the movie game. However, I've come around a bit, especially after playing Rehydrated, but at the same time I haven't changed my mind on how I feel about the game either. I still think the movie game has a lot of issues that would make me hesitant about seeing a one-to-one remake of it, but at the same time, it has a lot of great things going for it that a remake could elevate. The platforming levels are just as good in this game as they are in BFBB, albeit a little more linear, but making that up with more challenging missions overall. And the driving and sliding, while not as good as the platforming, does help to keep the gameplay fresh. I would want to see some significant changes to the game be made to truly rehydrate the experience. There's not too many I would make, but I think they are pretty significant. One, and this is probably the most important detail, please just lower the thresholds for the Goofy Goober tokens. In BFBB, the thresholds were appropriately set, where if you enjoyed one level but not another, you would likely be fine collecting all the spatulas in one of them and bypassing the other one, but still being able to progress through the game. I still remember wanting to chuck some clans at Mindy when she told me I needed Goofy Goober tokens to bring back the paddy wagon. Girl, isn't your dad minutes away from killing a civilian civilian, just please put aside your gambling addiction for 1 minute. 2. Expand the platforming sections. This could be done either by adding new challenges to the existing levels or inserting some new ones in the game. They don't necessarily need to be part of the story, but could be a separate thing you could access out of future tense in the Insane trilogy. I really feel that there should have been a higher ratio of platforming levels in the movie game, and remaking it would give the developers a chance to do that along with flexing their skills in how they would attempt a Spongebob game in this style. 3. Revamp the cutscenes. I know when this game came out, it was used as a tool to encourage people to go see the movie, so as deplorable as the cutscenes were, I understand the intent behind them. However, now that the movie has come and gone, why not use this as an opportunity to better tell the great plot of the movie in the game? It's seriously still such a classic, and having it adequately told in the game would help to elevate the experience so much more. Combine that with the animation quality of Rehydrated, and it could just be an amazing way to celebrate the movie, say on its 20th anniversary, which is in 4 years, so they definitely have the time for it. I may have my issues with the game, but if they approach the game differently from BFBB and actually work to make changes to the game for the better, I am totally all for it. So for number 4, besides Spongebob games being requested for the remake treatment, the next biggest request I can think of is for the Nicktoons games to be revisited. Definitely would love more remasters, as most Nickelodeon games from back in the day is just straight heat. Remake Unite, Battle for Volcano Island, Attack of the Toy Bots, and Globs of Doom. Possibly make them online co-op as well if that could work. One of the Nicktoons Unite games, or a collection of them like what was done with Crash and Spyro. These games were the Avengers of my childhood, pulling all sorts of Nicktoons together to go on an adventure and saving all their collective universes. I do plan to cover all the Nicktoons games and videos in the near future on my channel, and so if you want to see that, then be sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you don't want to see them, be sure to subscribe anyway, because you might change your mind. But for the purposes of this video, I wouldn't necessarily want to see them get remade. I think the gameplay is a bit outdated for today's audiences, as I've gone back to them numerous times in the past couple years and I just can't picture people really enjoying them. They are standard beat 'em ups with dashes of platforming sprinkled in that may have been all the rage back then, but certainly isn't as prevalent now. With BFBB, 3D platformers are actually making a comeback, so it made perfect sense to bring that game back on top of its infamous reputation. But I propose a compromise. I don't need to see remakes of these titles, but I would love to see them remastered and put into a collection released on modern consoles. This would be a great move for Nickelodeon in particular, as we've recently seen them flirt with revivals of various older franchises, not to mention the nostalgia pandering oasis Spongebob has become. It may be wise to bring back these games to further cash in on that nostalgia, especially if they plan on future revivals. I could see these games being great family titles, especially as a lot of people that grew up with these games are now adults with children, and thus it would serve as the perfect grounds for bridging generations together. I'm not gonna lie, it would be amazing to just see so many of these characters return that otherwise probably would never appear again. Seeing favorites like Danny Phantom, Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron, Tack, and so many more in higher resolution would just be a great service to tons of Nicktoons fans. But if you wanted to save money, you could just up-res Danny Phantom. I don't think people care about anyone else really. Yeah. At number 3, this is going to be a bit of a weird request, but I would love to see another Spongebob themed party game akin to Lights, Camera, Pants. You may be wondering why I didn't just flat out say a remake of Lights, Camera, Pants. It's because I've burned brain cells from running this YouTube channel that I've lost all sense of logic and reasoning. For instance, the presence of this pasta can is the reason why there is an adequate supply of oxygen in this room. I mean, there certainly is an audience of people that would love to see this game come back, the Chad of all party games that put Nintendo's Plumber Boy to shame. Spongebob Lights, Camera, Pants Remaster, please. Lights, Camera, Pants Remake. Despite it not saving on my GameCube memory card, we rented it like every week as a kid. Love that game. Nah, I do love that game to death and think it's one of the most creative takes on the party game genre, but I think a brand new Spongebob game rather than a straight remake of that could potentially bring so much more to the table. For instance, imagine more playable characters, and I mean way more. I would love to see them pluck more key figures from the Spongebob cast such as Pearl, Mrs. Puff, Bubble Buddy, Bubble Bass, the Dirty Bubble, the oldest living Bubble, and make this truly a celebration of the Spongebob franchise. It'd also be a great opportunity to pull in some Nickelodeon characters as well to make cameos. The possibilities are just endless. On top of that, we could get so many more minigames, modes, online play, and even a brand new story to wrap everything together. Not to mention, if they were to put it on the Switch, they could create a diverse set of minigames, both motion control and non-motion control based. I know people on motion controls, but this is the one place where it makes sense, so just give them a break. While I am a big fan of Lights, Camera, Pants, I mean, I love that game so much. I feel like making this a remake will limit it in many aspects when the idea of a Spongebob party game has so much potential in selling tons. Mario Party is really the only consistently releasing party game franchise at the moment, not counting any of those one-off motion control fests that are created in bargain mills. So Spongebob has a legitimate chance at establishing a large presence in this genre. There's a gap here, and what better franchise to have a party with than with Spongebob? I'm breaking in! At number 2, it's a bit hard to explain actually, but the good thing is we do have a fan creation that near perfectly depicts what I want this game to bring. You ever heard of the Simpsons Hit and Run mod Annoy Squidward? Crafted by a team led by Nightbane Games, it essentially transforms Springfield into Bikini Bottom and puts you to a storyline loosely based off of the cartoon. Looking at this mod, it almost looks like a true sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but of course with a driving mechanic taking up the majority of the game. Playing and watching this mod, I can't help but feel that this type of game suits SpongeBob extremely well. If there is anyone that would drive like a maniac in this sense, it would be this nuisance. Not to mention, driving to Bikini Bottom in this manner was surprisingly immersive, especially for a mod, and it makes me lust for an actual game to follow this format. We also have an official SpongeBob game that toys a bit with this idea called Boating Bash. Instead of being a typical racing game, you utilize your boats to bash into others and rack up points. It's surprisingly very fun, and SpongeBob just seems like the perfect guy for the job. So what if THQ Nordic actually ran with this idea and created a full blown out open world for SpongeBob and his friends to drive through and finish missions? You could take some ideas from BFBB and include some platforming sections or even the golden spatula system, with you earning 1 for each completed mission in an effort to progress through the game. It would be a great and innovative idea for the SpongeBob franchise, and it is because of this group of hooligans I can't let go of this impossible idea. Why is it impossible? Well, because obviously Hit and Run is directly inspired by the GTA series, and with how copyright is a show nowadays, I can't say creating a game like this wouldn't come without its risks. They could incorporate a bunch of new ideas to help separate the two titles, but I'm not sure what those ideas could be. But yeah, THQ Nordic, if you ever were to produce a brand new adventure for the SpongeBob franchise that's completely original and you're strapped for ideas, maybe this mod would be a great starting point for you to work off of. Now, before we get to number 1, if you hadn't already noticed, I did poll my audience on both Twitter and YouTube on what they would like to see next with THQ Nordic in terms of Nickelodeon licenses. There were definitely some ideas that, while they didn't make it to my list, would definitely be awesome to see from THQ Nordic, and so here's just a few that I picked out. I personally want them to do a game based off of the new SpongeBob movie, using the original movie game as a basis for how the game is structured while also introducing new ideas to keep the game fresh. A completely new Nicktoons crossover adventure that takes full advantage of the Nicktoons. I mainly want Rugrats. I think you already know my answer. Madagascar Restranded? And then, as Chester put ever so elegantly, something good. I think we all can agree on that. Coming in at number 1, this idea is pretty simple compared to some of the ones I just mentioned, but nonetheless, I think is the most logical and has the most potential for elevating the SpongeBob gaming franchise to insurmountable heights. I want to see a direct sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, a game that takes the assets and engine of the remake to create a brand new experience with fully original levels, dialogue, music, all the hopeful prerequisites. Rehydrated was created completely from the ground up, so it would be a shame to see all that work just thrown out for whatever else they would cook up instead. What THQ Nordic has in their hands now is a fully functioning map of how SpongeBob should play in a 3D platformer. While Rehydrate certainly was a great experience that deserves to be celebrated, I want to see the team flex their muscles on the original title and witness what they could come up with. And it looks like I'm not the only one that wants to see something like this. Something brand new, a new platformer that uses the same engine as Rehydrated. I like to see a brand new, completely original SpongeBob video game. If they remake the movie game, that's fine, but I prefer to have a brand new adventure. A new SpongeBob game in the same spirit as Battle for Bikini Bottom, like a sort of spiritual successor. No more remakes. I want to see a brand new SpongeBob game next from THQ Nordic and Purple Lamp. A lot of criticism directed towards Rehydrate is how it didn't do a lot to elevate the original experience due to its constraints of being a faithful remake of the original. So if you remove those barriers and give the team free reign to do as they desire, I gotta say the possibilities are endless and mouthwatering. You know, ever since Martin told me that Purple Lamp Studios have been brainstorming ideas for a potential sequel, I've been in complete support of this team handling a brand new original game in the SpongeBob franchise. I would love to see what the interpretation would be. I would just love to see what they would come up with. Imagine a game created in the same vein as Super Mario Odyssey or Crash Bandicoot 4 but with the SpongeBob license. Like, wouldn't that be just amazing? More platforming challenges, more playable characters, more dialogue, along with brand new features we can't even begin to fathom. Maybe they'll see my number 2 idea and incorporate vehicles into the game. I mean, who knows? Some of the best games in the world were allowed to do as they please and make a game completely original and innovative in its vision. So I just think Purple Lamp Studios should really get the opportunity to do just that. Give them the SpongeBob license and just see what they could come up with. It's clear that they are genuine fans of the franchise and want to do it justice. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put so much care into incorporating feedback from the community, all the way down to bringing Shift over to the studios for a direct collaboration. This was also how Heavy Iron Studios was able to conjure up Battle for Bikini Bottom. I mean, wouldn't we want to give the team the tools to make this a possibility rather than continuing to recreate old games? I'm all for remakes remakes and will welcome them with open arms should we get more in the future. But I just can't stop thinking about what a new original title could bring in the hands of these folks, and it just makes me very excited for the future. And there it is, THQ Nordic, what I want for my birthday, what I'm sending to Santa Claus, what I'm putting in my will. These are the 5 things you can consider doing with the SpongeBob/Nickelodeon licenses. I do just want to say though that these folks are so awesome, and I couldn't be happier to see the SpongeBob license be in the hands of such community enthusiasts. I joined a Discord server, and seeing them answer everyone's questions along with the Twitter activity is just such a joy to see. I've also learned about how the movement Sheriff's been pioneering in getting the stereo tracks for BFBB has had a recent development in that the tracks have been found, and that it is very likely that we may be able to get them in the game since THQ Nordic has been very responsive to this. I'll link his video in the top right corner if you want to learn more. Point is, this company is just so great and responsive to fans, and I'm so happy that they're handling the Nickelodeon licenses, even if they don't come out with the most critically praised games in the world. I feel confident that whatever direction they go in, it's going to be the result of intense community feedback, and I'm just so excited to see what these folks come up with next. It's a revolution, and the time has come for us to finally win. Let me know in the comment section below what type of game you want to see from THQ Nordic, and it doesn't even have to be SpongeBob related. It could be a Nickelodeon related title too if you have something like that. And on that note, I have to confess now that I actually lied about my number 1 choice. As the great Pinhead Larry once said, liar liar plants for Heimer. So my true number 1 game that I want to see from THQ Nordic next, Squidward Adventure. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these and want to see more in the future, follow me on Twitter or Twitch, or join my Discord server, The Spongy Garden. Special shout out to Andrew Coughlin, The Nerd Corner, Team Ride with Sign Gamer, Cheryl Rainfall, MX Sanctus Belader, Blitz Productions, Trash Q, Abraham Muner, and Mass Muner. These are my patrons/YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, and please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.